it looks like you're charging all of these people, $25 a pop. Are you gonna be giving some of that money to the location trying to do this? Are they gonna be receiving portions of this?
That's right.
So,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm hoping, we have 2,000 people, I'm hoping that they're gonna get about $10,000 each to help with their facility.
Exactly.
Church.
So
For me, it's to help with our food.
so this is gonna help out their projects. So
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely, thank you. Appreciate you
Thanks,
giving me
guys.
the opportunity.
Thank you very
Good
much,
luck.
Mr. Ackerman. It was a pleasure.
And on the side note, my girlfriend was at the bar the other day and she absolutely loved it. She said it was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night, Chad.
So the next entity on the schedule is the World Museum of Mining on behalf of somebody's going to present. Ready for the World Museum of Mining.
Brandon, we can elect you as the door person. That would be the door person? All right.
All right, so we have a presenter from the World Museum of Mining. Can you please introduce yourself and give us your presentation?
Give what, I'm sorry?
Give us your presentation.
Okay, perfect. Good evening, I'm Jeanette Koch, the director of the World Museum of Mining. I'll make this brief. So our board is currently reviewing our strategic plan. We just went through some stages of this, but one of the things that quickly became clear was that we want to market the museum more as an event and wedding venue. Our new pavilion is under construction. The sewer line is in, the water line's coming, and that's just going to make the grounds look so much better. And it opens up another area of the museum for things such as the events. Just to go a little bit beyond the grant, sorry, I'm still trying to catch my breath. I'm up the stairs of the mask.
Totally understandable.
I haven't done stairs in a mask yet. To take an example of a small wedding for you of 100 people, you would anticipate pay about 25% of those would probably be coming from out of town and staying in hotels. So if you do it kind of based on a per diem, they're probably going to be here for at least 2 days, if not 3 days. I did my numbers based on 2 days. So they'd be spending about $30 per day for meals and about $100 per night for hotel room, which is actually low, because you're thinking Friday and Saturday night, most likely. And so for 2 days, that 25% people for a wedding would bring in about $3,200 to be just in those. Now, if you think of conference coming in, a small conference again of 100 people, you're going to have a higher percentage of people staying in those hotels here locally. So I really thoroughly threw out a random number because I have no idea what the percentage would be. But if you guess about 60% of those people, for again, this is a 100-person conference, that's small, we can accommodate a lot more. You're looking at about $15,600 back into our economy with renting the space for events. And then to go further from there, they're going to do more than food and lodging if they're here for a couple of days. For just a wedding, they're going to go to other places. You're looking at DJs, you're looking at photographers, you're looking, of course, at the revenue for the event space. Weddings usually have rehearsal dinners. The events go to multiple restaurants, multiple places. I envision us being just one of those venues of many of a conference. Spreading those dollars out very neat. Gas tanks have to be filled. You're looking at people flying in, multiple teams, renting cars, and things such as that. I know a lot of us are trying to build that up we're an amazing place to have weddings, an amazing place to have fun. And so by marketing us, that's bringing in money not just to us, but to the entire world. And then I wrote in my notes here quickly, also, when weddings happen at the museum, the trolley is 85% of the time rented as well. We do have a wedding that's booked since I wrote this grant. They're doing the trolley, they're doing us. They're buying hay locally. They're reserving another venue elsewhere. Money going in. Conferences, we had some scheduled for last year, but they do hotel rooms, it's local buses that they use. Of course, all the food and all of that. We lost all of last year's, but hopefully we'll pick those up this year and next. One of the things that the museum's not doing is marketing ourselves as a venue place. I remember coming to one of these meetings asking for chairs or tables and an event space, and one of you guys that's not on the committee said, "Oh, you can have the museum." And so that is our lacking marketing. And now with this new pavilion, I can't tell you, they tore down the house and trailer, and the first thing I said to Markovich was, even if you're done now, it looks better. And so now it's going up. Right now there's a whole big bunch of piles of dirt. But it's just going to be so much better, highlighting the engine room and the orchestral, which is what we're based on. That's our history right now. And then also the pavilion provides yet another venue, covered venue, outdoor, with a projector, with a screen, hopefully with wind barrier. I'm still looking for a grant for that. To do performances, to do weddings, to do workshops, to do conferences. The sky's the limit with this. And then we have our 2 churches. And then you go a little bit further, we haven't had professional pictures of the museum. I don't know how long. Prior to my time, I've been there since 2010, directly since 2015. With these new improvements, it's time. So that's what this grant's asking for. It's asking for new photography to be used in a brochure and the graphic design of that brochure, as well as printing of that brochure. All money being spent local. As you can see, where the quotes that I got are all local. Those were the quotes I could get in a short amount of time at Christmas. And so, but those are some of the big names as well. And some of them that are local people. And so that brochure, and that's just the beginning. The pictures will also be used on our website, social media, making the museum look good, not only for events, but also to guests, drawing more. Our website, although looking better each year, is still lacking those pictures to draw people in of all of the offerings that we have. And so these pictures would help with that as well. And it's the kickoff to a marketing campaign to market us, the museum, as an event venue. I think that's about all I have. Everything else is in the grant. But thank you for your time and questions. Is there questions?
It's weird being up here, I don't remember all the right buttons. The same question I'll be asking in all tonight. We have $68,000 to award, we have over $100,000 more than that requested. How would your projects be if you were not to receive the whole?
Well, because I asked for a few different things there. I asked for photography, I asked for printing, and I asked for the graphic design. So what did it come out to? Around 1,500.
Yes.
I don't have the. I have the number in front of me. Just close my eyes.
1,400.
Yeah, exactly. So we could break it down. The project would still happen. Maybe we can have brochures. Maybe we find somebody who's maybe not the same price of photography. It would still happen. The priority being those photos, and then those photos, of course, the photos to put on the website and social media are my time. That's not included in that grant, so they can use for there for sure. And then the graphic design, maybe if we can't do a brochure, we would do a poster, we would want a brochure at a later date. I'll be honest, maybe I'm being naive, I'm optimistic about this year, and we're not gonna have the year we were having in 2019, over 27,000 people. Last year in COVID, being closed for 2 months, we saw about 14,500 people, which, when I do the comparison to other museums, National Museum, worldwide museums, we hung in there. We did okay for Butte, Montana. We get to open, hopefully, 2 extra months. We were closed April, May. So I think we're gonna be able to hold around. So, I mean, I hope we can get awarded the whole, about $15,000 to fully do the project, but we make something happen for sure.
Thank you.
Commissioner Callahan.
I just want to thanks to that, you know, did incredible proposal. I was just thinking, a 50-page proposal for $1,400.
I just did, prior to this, I'd done 200 grants, one of them I kind of got done on a little bit, mostly because it was some funky grant leaders.
Well, we appreciate you coming up, and we'll certainly do what we can to help you out. And keep up the great work.
I have a new outlook for 2020. I mean, I always put my all into these, but I'm trying to put even more. And I've done some studying recently to up my game. There's more competition out there. More of us are asking, especially right now. We all need it. So, you know, whoever you award, I'm sure you guys are awarding, you know, those that need it. That's why I kind of went small. I could have used it in so many different places, but I think that this is really one of those spaces that can help us become more sustainable ourselves.
Thank you very much. Oh, sorry. Commissioner O'Neill, you have the floor.
Hey, great proposal, thanks for coming up. My question was, why didn't you ask for the full amount? You should, you need the full amount, 2,500, don't you?
But are you mean for the complete project?
Yeah.
Mostly because these were the numbers I was comfortable getting the quotes with, and we had 2.5 weeks over Christmas. This was a project that we were just starting to brainstorm. So we haven't envisioned all of the direction of it. This I knew because I talked to one of my board members, was the base start of it. And so this is what I knew I could accomplish with where we are right now, especially in the time period for this. And I feel strongly that this will be the Kickstarter for us to be able to bring some of our own money in to continue the marketing. And some of the stuff we can do in-house, like I mentioned, the poster and stuff, we can do that in-house, which is just our time, especially once we have that graphic designer kind of set up the initial look for us. We can kind of do that ourselves as well. So partially just because I couldn't get the quotes right away, and also because I'm not exactly sure after this where it goes.
Well, just good job, just curious on that. And,
Yeah.
a little bit on the photography and stuff, I think we beg, borrow, and steal for that too, for a couple of them.
Yeah.
Force them to do it for their kind of duties. Definitely good job and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Yeah, thank you guys for having
We
me.
really appreciate you coming up.
Yeah, of course, and good luck with your decisions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening, guys.
But this is going on to YouTube, but not, but it's long screen on the page.
All right, next on the agenda is Montana Gator Cultural Society. And I see that Mr. Benedict is here to give us a short presentation and any questions.
Well, hearing with this was awful thick, as thick as my skull.
That's
Here on behalf of the Honorary Rock Executive Committee, we're getting ready to make an attempt or run a festival in August. We're very aware of the limitations and the constraints that we're all under. Hoping that by June or July, we might have word that, get the green light to have an event this summer. We just feel that in the spirit of Butte, and to do the right thing for the community and give people something to look forward to, that we're going to do our part to have something ready in the case that we can have an event that will be ready to go. Our request for $3,000 is, we think reasonable, but it's kind of a target. The funds that we received last year are still held by Montana Gaelic Cultural Society in our festival account. We've accounted for in our proposal this year. We've stated that in the event doesn't go on, we wouldn't expend any of the funds granted by this committee for the festival. So we can hold it, we get the green light, and we proceed. And of course, we'll expend funds. If we don't get the green light for some reason, due to COVID constraints, then we'll have the money that we can either remit back to the committee and the council, or we can begin deposit it looking forward. But some of the constraints that we're going to face, we think, with the business climate, although some industries are doing fairly well in the pandemic, there are others that aren't. We draw from a wide array of sponsorships. So we're not sure what the sponsorship climate is this year, especially with nonprofits and people trying to settle back and where they're at with their businesses. But the money that we ask for is spent directly in the community. We've always asked it to be earmarked for equipment rental. In the event that we do pull the trigger and we have an event, the committee will more than likely be out several $1,000s in travel expenses that may or may not be refundable. And that's what we're talking about now at the moment. Our providers, our sound technicians, our stage and lighting, even though we have the permanent structure at the original, it still takes thousands of dollars of infrastructure to have an event in the mine area, even with what we have there permanent. So we're working ahead, we're planning prudently, and we are taking all considerations of COVID in our contracts and the way that we approach how we might execute the event. We'll have COVID clauses in all of our contracts so that if we can't proceed, we're not going to be held on the hook for $100,000 or $140,000. We feel pretty confident that we can start planning and putting things together and have a successful event. One thing that I like to talk about, and it was kind of quiet the last few years about, but there's only two outside of nonprofit organizations. We have two festivals now. We've heard for years and years that we'll save money for the next event, or we'll make funding available for new events. But in reality, it's really hard to get an event and keep it going. And if it were easy, new events would happen all the time. So it would be my words of encouragement that with the two events that we do have, outside of the great work that the historical societies and these tourist attractions and the World Museum of Mining bring, the two events that we have for festivals in the summer got a huge amount of revenue and economic benefit. And I think that it would be wise and prudent for Butte-Silver to do as much as possible to hang on to them, because along with COVID or anything else, they're always 1 year away from not happening. You don't have the people to do it or the funding to do it. So with that, I'll answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you. You heard it before, Brendan. You're good to go with us, I'm sure. And I just wanted to say thank you very much for coming before us. I'm keeping my fingers crossed and praying every day that this lets up a little bit and we can't have these festivals. I think this is definitely, you know, we're all getting shots in our arms. Just notice that you got your vaccine. Thank you. I got mine. I think this would be a great shot in the arm for the youth economy and everybody's spirits here in town. So I wish you the best of luck and keeping our fingers crossed. I'm sure the whole community
Thank you.
will be able to hold this festival. So thank you for all your work on it. And please pass my appreciation on to your report.
Thanks so much.
Commissioner Callahan.
Thank you, Brendan. I just want to thank you too. Like I told you the last night of council, it's kind of nice to see the spark. It's a positive thinking. You know, we're going to have this year, and you guys are going to kind of work in with me. I also appreciate you still having one last year. You know, you come to us, you know, you use your money wisely. You spend it on something that you know, get returns on. So we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there are no other questions. Thank you, Mr. McDonough.
I will just add one last thing, that our entertainment, normally we bring entertainment from around the world. However, with COVID this year, we're mindful of the fact that visas are gonna be a challenge. And there's other travel restrictions with the borders, so we feel very confident that we have enough world-class entertainment that now lives stateside that we're talking to help put together a really incredible lineup. So it's just, bits and pieces, but anything that you guys do is your helpful.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Do you have a question? All right, Commissioner O'Neill.
You just made me a comment that I will start praying for good weather. For the Irish the you gotta use these for umbrellas, the money for umbrellas. See that joke will be good.
They're gonna sell N95 masks.
Thanks, Brett.
That's what you need to do is someone that
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Brendan. Yeah. Perfect work. Thanks, Brendan.
We can just have them do that for us and make it easier. Unless we
Have to
years and years to come. It's just not something that's going to be here for a while along the way. And I don't know about other kids, but I was always pretty fascinated with fire trucks. It's a neat piece. In that flyer that I gave you a couple of examples of what we had in mind for the signs. And that is not the final write-up of what would go on those signs, but just some thoughts that we had thrown together rather quickly. There are some really great pictures of when the boardwalk on the firm and stuff. In this building, the plan is to make it look a little more like the boardwalk did. So that we actually look like the fire truck is parked on the boardwalk, you know. What else can I tell you? Oh, we'll also have a audio system there. You walk up, push a button, and hear somebody's story about their experience. Or, in the case of the fire truck, Mardell Shira, the gal who donated the fire truck, I spent some time with her daughter this summer. She had great stories about growing up in the gardens. That's kind of where my family lived at the gardens for a while also, so I do know. It was a neighborhood too, kind of like between the other neighborhoods. But nobody really seems to know that. It's kind of lost because nobody's ever wrote about it or talked about it. All those kids, she told me all those kids, all the guys that operated the rides and stuff, they all knew those kids, they just got them all. So living up there as a kid was like paradise. Ponds up there, all kinds of stuff. So that's what I have for you.
Great. That was informative. Thank you very much. Do any of the commissioners have a question? Commissioner Anderson?
Thank you very much for being here tonight.
Thank you.
For the project. The carousel looks great. You guys have done a wonderful job with it.
Thank you.
And everything. That said, I've been asking everybody, we have 170 in asking monies, and we're short about 100,000 from what we have to give, just over 68. How would you guys be able to proceed if you did not receive the full amount?
Well, in the past, we had some really nice benefactors gave us quite a bit when we did the carousel. We don't receive any money from the Stodden Foundation in Washington, but they have in other funding that they've given to us. We go back to Triple S, they were very generous in donating before. We go back to those same people and try and get a better price and stuff on some of that material. So, I think what would happen is, it would just be slower process. It'd take us longer to raise the money. Still something we really want to do, something we'd like to get done this summer.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Callahan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate you guys coming and seeing us with some more money to help the project. And, I'll be dedicated to some of that in-kind stuff. I spent many Saturdays and Sundays not knowing the first one.
Absolutely.
You guys are very dedicated to what you want to do. I want you to accomplish it. We'll certainly do what we can to help you guys. And like I said, I'll be certainly in line to help with the in-kind stuff. Cool. We wish you luck.
Well, thank you.
Anyone else? Jim, thank you very much.
You bet.
Thanks for your time. We appreciate the proposal.
All right. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Appreciate you guys doing it.
Thanks, Russ.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Right over here. Next on the schedule is the BLDC. And so if you would just introduce yourself and give us a short overview of your proposal, and then we'll have some time to ask questions.
Perfect. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm Joe Willauer. I'm the Executive Director for the Butte Local Development Corporation. I was told at the beginning to be brief, so I didn't bring a PowerPoint. You guys have our app, so I'm going to go fast. We'll have plenty of time for questions. So we've obviously been a past recipient of the Economic Development Bill. We're confident we've delivered on what we said we'd do in the past. And we're very excited as well as appreciative to be able to come back to you guys this evening with a new application. This one's definitely different than what we've been doing in the past. And so for this year, with the impact of COVID-19 on small businesses, particularly retail, restaurants, and drinking establishments, the need for those businesses throughout our community is tremendous. We were fortunate that the second round of PPP came out a couple weeks ago. We're optimistic that there will be more CARES funding coming, and we have a few other items in the hopper that we're thinking of. But when we started asking around about, what do small businesses need, one of the things that really was a recurring theme is foot traffic's way down. People are obviously not walking around town. People aren't walking into stores on the regular. So the solution we heard was marketing dollars. We talked to numerous different business owners that said they wanted to invest more in marketing so that people knew that they were out there. Uptown's a good example. People are typically walking around Uptown. They see a store, they drop in, they spend some money. A lot of that's been eliminated. What our request is this evening is for $10,000 to do $2,500 mini grants. Closer. Turn it on. That'll work. And so $2,500 mini grants to put towards marketing. We have a partnership with the Montana Standard, and since I submitted the application to you guys, they would match those grants 1-for-1. So every applicant would be eligible. If they chose to use the money through the Montana Standard for either print or digital advertising, they'd be getting $1,000 per business. We would also reach out to other large employers that haven't been impacted by the pandemic as much, to leverage these dollars and see if we could raise some additional funding. So we'd start with 20. Let's say a large employer came in and gave us another 5,000, we'd do additional $500 grants that would then be matched against the standard for $1,000 grants. The notes I had, why marketing? Of course, just trying to get people into doors, make sure people are aware it's safe to shop right now. You can go to these businesses, you can go out to eat, and if you take the proper precautions, that's something that's feasible. The demand is tremendous right now. Within another week or two, as PPP gets distributed, we'll have a better understanding on how effective that second round has been. Right now, it's a little bit up in the air, but we want to see that go before we look at larger measures. Additional information, I definitely anticipate more support to be able to do more than what we requested. Those would not be dollars from you guys. Those would be dollars from private enterprise that would match up against this. The standard is 100% in on matching 1-for-1. So the 10,000 from you guys would leverage an additional 10,000 of in-kind match from them. So each business would have $1,000 worth of advertising if they chose to work with the standard for that. And then one of the things that makes this really an effective tool for us is earlier this spring, Northwestern Energy gave Headwaters, the other organization we partner with, to do $500 mini grants throughout the region. We deployed about 25 of them, same process, additional money came in. But we have the application through Google form ready to go. We make some tweaks now, but it's not reinventing the wheel. The review process was already established. Essentially, from the grant administration side, we've done this before, so it's not some brand new thing. If awarded, it'd take maybe a week, 10 days. We'd hit the ground running, and we'd be writing checks sooner than later. So it's a simple process that would get money into the hands of business owners as fast as possible. Obviously, $500, $1,000 isn't the thing that's going to save them, but right now every little bit helps. And this was an avenue we viewed as a way to give back to the business community in what's been an incredibly difficult time. So with that, I want to thank all of you for your time this evening. We certainly appreciate it. It's great to be able to come back to you guys for these funds, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any commissioners have any questions? Commissioner Anderson?
Same question myself is, We have about $100,000 shortage from what we have. That being said, I imagine you'd still be able to carry on the work you want to do, just at a smaller scale. Say we gave you 5,000 instead of paying you 10 grand.
Correct.
Perfect, thank you. And thank you for your work. It's nice to see you face to face. I haven't seen you for some time.
It has been a long time for most.
So thank you so much for coming in. I love the idea. I love how it builds upon each one. So thanks for coming.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Commissioner Anderson?
One more question, I guess. Have you reached out to the radio stations? Have they said anything about possible for radio ads to spread that around a little bit more?
We haven't reached out to any other media channels yet. We've worked with the Standard pretty closely on a few of these things. Starting out, we wanted to make it as simple and as accessible as possible. The goal for us is to get money into the hand of business owners as quick as we possibly can. I think there'd definitely be some opportunity there, but it's not an avenue we've looked at yet.
I was just thinking that you probably have a lot more people listening to the radio. Depending on the station, so hopefully they might do some buy-in too and kind of expand the project a little bit, make more people aware, make more people. Thank you.
That's a great suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Have a good evening.
Drive safely.
Yeah, right early.
Hi, yours.
Yeah. Oh, but please push the button to turn the microphone. Like deactivated, let's see it. All right. So our next presenter is from High Or Ceramics. So if you please introduce yourself for the record, give us about a 5-minute overview, and then we'll ask some questions when you're done.
Okay. Can you guys hear me okay? All right. My name is Jao Han, and I'm representing High Or Ceramics tonight. My business partner Sarah beat over from 10, but I'll just kind of go over the proposal that we submitted to you guys. So High Or Ceramics is a center for ceramic arts. We're focused mostly on ceramics education. I didn't want to bore you with a PowerPoint tonight because I know this is going long, so I brought the kit that we proposed that we're going to make. So we have a lot of waiting classes right now. We've canceled our classes starting in October just with more of an outbreak. And so we decided that we should probably pivot how we're going to instruct. We're just kind of changing how we're going to do this. We've always been hands-on, always been really up close and personal to everybody. So this will be a definitely different and new experience. I think you guys have in front of you the proposal, so on page 4, I'll just kind of go over the budget here really quick and explain to you what these kits look like. So part of the project that we didn't account for was the time in which we're going to be making the fabrics. So Sarah and I will absorb those costs, but we're just going to be asking for materials. So the materials that we're asking for is the clay, but then also these boxes so that we can actually contain everything and send them home to people. So in the boxes, theoretically we have instructions, and then people can follow along, the people who, like me, really like things written down. Otherwise, they can follow along with the screen. And so when they come home, they can take out the little bubble wrap, and what they have inside is going to be like a piece of pattern that we throw. So they have the option of making a bowl, making a mug. I didn't bring the plate because this specific size wasn't able to contain the plate, so we'll just have a different size for that. And then in each one of these kits, we'll basically have a glaze. The cost that I have here is going to be in a large batch, and it's cheaper for us to kind of make sure that they go into different containers instead of buying them individually. So what we had requested for the printer, the paper, and also the computer is so that people can kind of follow along. So because this is so interactive when they're in the studio, we want to make sure that we can actually look at the surface that they're decorating, but then also be able to connect. A lot of people are having a lot of, issues with finding a creative project to actually pursue during this time being at home. So inside the kits, we'll also have the brushes, I forgot that, and then the tripod. So that is mostly so that it can hold like a phone. So if you're, used to these conference calls right now, you have one screen facing your face, and then the other screen would be for us to use to hold our camera or on our phone, and then that would actually appear as the surface of the piece of work, so that we can instruct somebody how to actually decorate and give them feedback in real time. So we hope with this money, so it's $3,100. We hope that we can actually run 100 ceramic kits so that people can take these home and we can see, how well people are learning based on the final product after the project comes back to the studio when we fire it. Then we can assess and see eventually if this is feasible for us to hire a part-time person to actually instruct. And we're really excited about that because it's a new kind of job for somebody to have. There's not very many creative jobs in the county, so we're really hoping that it kind of transfers over so that post-COVID life, we have something a little bit more different in view. Do you have any questions?
Mr. Anderson?
Thank you very much for being here and for the presentation tonight. I like the project. I always enjoyed art, different things, so it's kind of nice to see somebody trying to do something different, especially in this time when we're all locked out. I think it's a great idea. I'll turn on my mic so people out there can hear me. Two questions, I guess. First part being, we have a limited amount of money. There's about $100,000 difference from what we have and what people have asked for. If you did not receive the whole 3,100, would that impact what you were able to?
It would impact us in a way that we would probably run this trial project for a lower number of ceramic kits. So I think we would still pursue it at this point. We would just have to size it down a little bit.
Okay, thank you. And then I saw mentioned a couple of times in your brochure that you guys have done some work in the past with empty bowls and that fundraiser and everything. With these bowls and these kits that people are working on, would that be something that they were donating? Or is that something that would be donated to the empty bowls project?
Yeah, so that's a really good question because Sarah and I are heavily invested in empty bowls, as you can see in our qualifications. But I think this is more so for people as their own keepsake. So part of our education component is people actually make things, they can bring it home, they can enjoy it in their personal lives. So they have the option definitely to always donate, but I would kind of encourage that this is something that they make for themselves or maybe to send to somebody else.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Mr. Callahan?
Yeah, I was just seeing through the proposal here, while I'm doing 100 kits. Do you feel you've got 100 people that are online to want to do ceramics?
We do. We have quite a bit of a waiting list right now, which is why I kind of jumped on this. We have people from Montana Tech. We have people from a lot of different like social working opportunities, like speech therapy kids who can have something that they're not so focused on their speech, but they can actually actively engage. We have people who are from nursing homes, a lot of people who are really isolated during this time individually. And then we actually have a really long waiting list for returning students. So we don't really know how to manage that, so we thought we can at least try to address 100 people, just because, the demand is a lot higher than we had hoped. I think a lot of people have a lot of time on their hands. So I think we're just kind of ready to jump for the opportunity.
Great. So once the COVID thing, we hopefully get past it, you guys will go back to the classroom and do it that way. Is that the goal, or do you want to keep doing it this way, or?
Yeah, I think we might do a hybrid of both. I think there's a lot of introverts, like myself sometimes, that like to be at home in my jammies. And so we're really hoping if this is successful, we can hire that person part-time to teach, and then they can teach a remote class. And then if they want to teach in person, they can certainly do that. But Sarah and I really need to take the load of like doing the educational classes off our shoulders. And so we're looking for somebody who's qualified, and that may mean bringing in my ceramic friends from other cities to teach.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I just have a question about your fee structure. Have you decided what your fee structure would be for someone to purchase a kit and take the class?
What the structure?
Well, what would you be charging somebody who
Okay.
wanted to take advantage of this service?
I think it's gonna sit somewhere between $40 and $50. And we've actually had some people even donating money, just being like, hey, just making sure you're staying afloat. So we pull that money, and we really wanna make sure that if people can't afford that $50, let's say, to say, hey, somebody else covered your class for you.
That's nice. Good, thank you. Anybody else? No, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Really, really a neat idea. I like it.
Well, that's what it would be.
All right, come on up and come ahead to the mic. All right, so next on our schedule is Alpha Technologies, and once we get set up with the PowerPoint, I'll just have you set to the microphone, introduce yourself on the record, give us a very short overview of your project, and then
So I'm Jessica Andriolo, senior technical staff at Technology. And we're here today to talk about some of our medical technologies that the Butte-Silver Economic Development Fund has helped us with in the past, and we're asking for funding on both of those because we are sort of resource intensive again.
I'll stay down there and talk. I'm Jack Skinner, I'm the president of Technology, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Montana Tech. Started the company 2 years ago, and we appreciate your support over the last few years. You know, and our goal is to increase high-tech jobs in the area. And this is kind of a long road to go through with biomedical technology. But even with the last year, we've made good progress, and which Jessica will present the details of this. And she'll have to go kind of fast on the slides. If you have questions, I'll answer.
thank you.
Yeah, so you can go to the first slide. Can you just go to the next slide? So our first technology that you guys helped us with over the last year was on-demand wound care technology. I'm gonna go through this. Can I just, is there any way I can just stand over there and click through? Because I'm gonna go fast. Or right here. Yeah. Do you see it there? It's on this one? It should be up there on the TV.
You just won't be able to control it.
Okay, if I'm gonna, okay, next one.
And if we can have you speak to the mic so our audiences at home can hear you, thank you.
Okay, so this was based on an electrospinning technology you can go. That makes these really high surface area bandage materials for drug delivery, for wound care treatment, for tissue regeneration, you can go. So a normal electrospinner has a high voltage electric field that has a lot of big equipment that takes up a lot of space, and then you can click through the rest of the animations for this slide. And what we did is we turned it into a handheld device that actually encases this high voltage electric field, makes it safe for human use, and then you can deposit onto any surface regardless of charge. So you can click through and click through. So these are just some demonstration materials that we deposited onto. We have pig skin, fruit, rawhide here, and a gloved hand. You can skip through. We got a ton of attention for this that we talked about before. We got best journal article in the journal. We had we were editor's pick, all sorts of things. You can click through all these. Next. And you can click through the animations. And so we were featured in Helpline, we were featured by the American Society of Physics. Just click through the animations. And then, of course, local newspapers. And then the next one. So the current state of the technology since we saw you guys last is that the international provisional patent has been filed. We are licensing the technology, so it takes a while to negotiate with the school a licensing agreement. So we are exclusively licensed for biomedical applications, in particular with this technology. Over the last year, we've met with a lot of investment firms. We learned a lot from those meetings. And one of the biggest things that we learned is that we need a particular application, a particular first application. So for us in the lab, we're really excited about this technology because we can do all sorts of things with electrospin fibers. But in particular for marketing moving forward with a financial backer, we really needed to pick our application, and they were mostly interested in orthopedic applications. And so we now have a team that consists of my uncle, who's a marketing consultant. He's worked in biomedical startups in Seattle for the last 20 years. He's helping us, and then we have a local orthopedic surgeon who's helping guide the materials that we create and the results that we see and what sort of wounds that we need to treat. So our next step here is to show this in an animal model so that we can get more financial backing. And then 2 years ago, we came to you guys with an antiviral. This antiviral is completely non-toxic and it stops mammalian cells being killed by our virus by 95%, 24 hours. Skip. And so we did some mouse studies and we found that it was 100% effective during the treatment period, and then after we stopped treating the mice, some of them didn't even get sores for an additional 9 days. We were really excited about this antiviral material. Skip. And so the current state of this technology is that the patent has actually been granted. So if you're not familiar with the patenting process, it takes many years. This patent has actually been granted for all mammalian viruses, which was a great win for us. It's currently licensed by us, so that has been negotiated with the school. We formed a team that includes 3 big pharma scientists, and they started out at Media Immunochem, if you guys are familiar with that, in Hamilton. That started out as a small business owned by the scientists and then bought by GSK, which is a $160 billion company. So these guys are great to have with us. We have a virologist from MSU who runs the COVID lab over there, along with the Montana Tech group that we did have before. In addition to that, we have been writing STTRs with the school. We've written 4 so far. We haven't got funded yet. The last one got the furthest that any of them have. The success rate on these is about 10%, so it's hard for us to break in. But over that time, we are supposed to have a contact with NIH, and ours is the program manager for antiviral discovery. And she, based on our results, has given us over $100,000 worth of free testing. We send our stuff off to NIH labs and they do testing for us, which is great because it's objective results and it's exciting for us. But we found an additional 4 strains of viruses that our material works for. They tested on an additional 6 types of mammalian cells, and they are still non-toxic. And now we're moving on to animal testing. So in particular, NIH is really excited about this treatment for treating HPV. So aggressive forms of HPV cause about 85 to 90% of all cervical cancers. And we have a vaccine, but we don't have a treatment. So once you have HPV, you have HPV. And it works, it's now been tested against 3 different strains of HPV and classified as highly active by NIH. So you can skip the slide. So for both of these technologies, what we really need to do for the wound care system is demonstrate orthopedic type wounds and preventing, it's a big issue that orthopedic wounds get infected, and so we need to demonstrate in an animal model that this prevents that from happening. And for the antiviral, as we're going through this STTR, NIH really wants us to focus on mechanism, but if we can also perform animal studies while those mechanistic studies are going on, we can really push forward on the development of this technology, which the next step would be asking FDA for a phase 1 clinical trial. So that's where we're at, and we're asking for funding to fund both of those animal studies, which is where we're at on both of these medicals. Do you guys have any questions?
That was really great. Thank you. Go ahead, Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you. I mean, that's really far over my head, so thank you for the really good presentation. You know, I just followed along with some stuff you guys have been doing, just because I had Jack's son at basketball camp at Montana Tech, so I just kind of followed along. But I just want to thank you guys. I think this is, you know, this is awesome, and this could be so good for things down the road for you. And, you know, I want to thank you guys for being here. Thank you.
Mr. Callahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I was just wanting to thank you guys for all your hard work. You guys are doing an incredible job on this. Every year you come back to us, it just gets more and more impressive. One of the questions I have is you have to get more investors from outside. So will that jeopardize you being able to produce and be able to distribute out of this area, or what do you feel on something like that?
So the cool thing right now is that both of these technologies are exclusively licensed to Alphatec, which means that we get to decide that stuff. So we are exclusively licensed for biomedical for the wound care system. I think electronics we are non-exclusively licensed. But with those licensing agreements, we sort of get to choose where development goes within both of these technologies, which is exciting for us.
I was telling Will Howard right before. So in March, I was at ConocoPhillips headquarters talking to a Montana Tech alum, the president of Conoco, with a bunch of successful alum. And one of them is the vice president of a major biomedical company. And there was a lot of meetings we were going to have, and it went silent after. I was actually in Houston with the person that flew around people at the school and brought, came back, and then COVID hit the Regents meeting, and everything shut down after that. And so, but what we know, like, we are working with a lot of people who actually have a lot of love for the town. There's a lot of people from here who've done pretty well. And we always say, one of our selling points is that that's what we're doing is trying to get the economy here in Butte, because no one can really go against it, right? Plus, everyone's people who last year, which should make hiring talented people easier, I suppose. But that's part of our pitch. Every time we talk to people, we're usually talking to people who have some love for Montana, and so that's the starting point for all of it. So there's no guarantee, in fact, what we'll have to do in the future. But the point is to keep things in town to build the economy. So it's not just a big set up, sell it all, and move on. So that's what we're doing. We're very vocal with it. That actually helps us, I think, get people involved. So I'm long-winded, sorry. But that's what we're doing. We're doing our best effort because we don't want to just move it to someone else.
Thank you. We appreciate your dedication.
And thank you for that, Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you very much, all of you being here. It's come a long way since, possibility of manufacturing, bags. I was there for that one, I thought it was a good idea. This is something you kind of see on the Star Trek episode. Is when I was looking at, maybe a little thing over it, putting bandages on. It seemed Star Trek to me,
You don't have
Like
to
a
add, yeah.
I remember watching Star Trek as a kid, and Kirk with this little communicator, we have them in our hands now. Now we have things where you can heal wounds.
We're trying to catch up with the originals.
It's remarkable. One of the bad things about it is catching up with Star Trek costs a lot of money. And you're asking for a lot of money. As I've been telling everybody, we have 170,000 in ask and 68 to donate. How would, and I know that I've asked you this question throughout the years, the last 4 years at least, how would a reduction of this 25 affect your plans moving forward?
Well, we're always used to budget cuts for a long time, so we'll just scale back for, we'll prioritize and move on to the most important aspects. We kind of have a suite of technologies, and we have a fair, this biotechnology is a lot of work. Like the money that we're asking for is a lot, but the money that's gone into this is, we've already put hundreds of thousands of dollars in. And it's expensive, and it's really a lot of this is high risk if you see the biomedical and just the treatments for COVID right now. There's companies that come and rise and fall, so but we'll adjust anything you guys provide. Because we some of these tests are relatively inexpensive to show the investors. We're also careful now, just we're careful. We've had offers for people to come in and take ownership, but we don't want to do that because the near-term decisions don't help us in 3 years. We have a longer-term solution. And so we get good advice, I think. We learn a lot. We're not just going for the first check coming in. And so we think it's better. We know it's better for the community to go with the rate that we don't give up IP. That's where you lose it. Someone else in some other place. But we know how to deal with budget cuts.
Just really quickly, I was gonna say that amount of money would cover, basically about 3 different animal trials, so it would cover, both the technologies. If we could complete one of them, we would be, happy, so.
Thank you. And quick follow-up, if I could.
Yes, Commissioner Anderson.
On to what you were talking about with the intellectual property. With the IP, I remember taking a chemistry class years ago from Andrea Sterling. She was talking about Taxol and what they were using as a cure for cancer at the time, kind of what you're talking about. Here with one of yours, and they sold that to a company right away. He sold it to another, he sold it to another, and they got a couple tens of thousands of dollars for it. It was turned around and sold for over $1 billion. She stated that she was a chemistry instructor, not a mathematics, but she was pretty sure even with a chemistry degree that she was screwed. So pardon the language, but it was just kind of an example of how predatory some people are in this, and you can lose an awful lot.
Everyone's predatory.
Not careful, so.
Yeah, so we have my uncle on board, and my uncle has 20 to 30 years experience in various startup companies. He's vice president of marketing at one company, and every single meeting that we've gone into with investors, he has advised us prior to, and he looks through our decks, which I didn't know what a deck was, but it's a pitch for different people, and then we come back to him with these meetings, and he tells us basically how they're helping us, how they can help us. Early on, we could have actually brought on investors that wouldn't have been good for, that would break it out into 1 million pieces and things like we're talking about. And so I do think that we saw really good help, and especially if we need an investor that is in the life sciences, biomedical world already. Yeah, we've learned a lot over the last year from going to these meetings, and they've helped us a lot, so trying to avoid that.
Yes, well, thank you very much. And anxious to see what you guys bring back next. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks so much. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
This is. Where? Where is? The doors that are lucky enough for there's this whole thing with it, like I say, and it's just like over.
All right, so our next, proposal applicant is Main Street Uptown View, for 3 different proposals. So if you could just come up to the microphone, introduce yourself for the record, because we have people listening. And give us a short overview of, I guess, you want to do one at a time, if you want to do all 3 of them, and then we'll ask you some questions.
Speed it up a little by just putting 3 together. My name is George Everett. I'm the Executive Director of Main Street Uptown Butte, address 66 West Park Street, Suite 201 in Uptown Butte. We proposed 3 projects. One is a clean and safe project to repair windows, which we've done for off and on for several years when we've had the budget. We've used membership funds in the past. We've used economic living funds for this. It's a way to keep the uptown looking not so much blighted as it has been in the past. We have some windows now that have been smashed that we have noticed in the past. The reason we started this project in the past was that businesses have, it's a hardship to pay for broken windows because their insurance deductible will not cover the entire thing. We found that many times when people do this, if it's vandalism, they're never forced to pay restitution. And so the business owner is left holding the bag to replace the window. Otherwise, they put plywood on it, which is, again, what we're trying to get rid of is the amount of plywood on the windows uptown. And the graffiti removal is another area that we continue to work on. There's some of that. It's not as bad as it has been, but it's still, there are the blooms that just come up in the spring and other times of the year where we just, it's part of our effort to replacing trash cans, street banners, just trying to make the uptown look business ready. So that's what that project is about, the clean and safe aspect of it. Another is a retail promotion project, which is the Wish Upon a Copper Star, which we've done for a couple of years, where we put a couple of boxes in the rotunda by the Copper Star, which was a feature that was on the Capitol Christmas tree in 2017. Montana Resources paid for that, had it fabricated. It was on top of the tree at the Capitol in Washington, D.C. It was brought back to Butte, and then was on display at the Montana Folk Festival. And after that, in 2018, it was moved into the rotunda. We decided that a way to get people to interact with that was to have them come and make a wish upon the Copper Star. And we put a couple of boxes in the chief executive's office, and people were invited to make wishes for others as well as for themselves, but for others, for you, make more general wishes for world peace, but also, you know, specific things that, and we found that there were things that we could do that helped out some people. And I think I put a couple examples in the proposal where we were able to help people who otherwise wouldn't be able to get Christmas presents. It's not the only project like that, but it is something that we think brings them into the rotunda and has them interact with this feature that has become a part of Uptown Butte. Is looking ahead to a time when the rotunda and the courthouse will be open again, things will get back to normal, which we hope will happen before too long. We don't know exactly when, but it's things seem to be headed in the right direction. The third project is, of course, the Montana Folk Festival, and in that proposal, we asked for funding to augment the stage resource that we have, in part to help keep the original stage in good shape. There are some issues with the over the top with wood falling on the performers and some things that need to be repaired still, with the decking to make sure that's okay. But also we've had issues with portable staging from the Civic Center that in fact a chair started to fall through one Copper Suite stage a couple of years ago. So we think it would augment the infrastructure for the festival. So that's what that proposal is for.
Thank you, George. Commissioner Anderson.
I'll ask you the same as all the others. We have about $100,000 differential from what we have and what we'd like to distribute to everyone. That being said, how would your three projects go about if the funding was not available, if you did not receive the full amount?
In some way, shape, or form, we will do all three. And we appreciate the support that we've received from the Economic Mobility Fund in the past, and we would continue to very much appreciate it if we received any help in any one of these three, for any of the three.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Callahan.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Yes, George, first of all, I want to thank you for all the hard work you put in for being a pretty dedicated person. Folk Festival alone is a major project to take on.
It is.
I just got one question on the staging. Do you use, all the stages you use, is that also temp staging? Rent stage?
There is some that's rented, the Granite Street stage is a mobile stage that we rent. That it's part of the sound crew brings that along. Montana Pro Audio and others. The portable staging that we get from the Civic Center is used at the Copper Suite, which is, you know, the Copper Suite, the CCAS stage, there by the Capri Motel 6, that lot just north of that, and also the dance area. We use portable staging for that because there's no stage in there. But yeah, they move in a mobile stage for the Grand Street.
You said there needs to be some repair work too.
That is what the last time we discussed it, there was issues with, who knows, it hasn't been used much in about a year for the decking. It would just be taken an inspection and see if anything, if it needs to be redecked, it might not. But there's issues with the undercarriage up above the performers. It's been dropping like bits of wood from, it needs some attention for some new stuff over top. And it may not be as bad as it was 3 or 4 years ago, but it still needs some attention.
Okay, one more question if I may. Last year's money, did you guys use last year's money yet?
Last year's money, we used about half of that. And that's for the area coordinators. And we expect to use the rest of that for this year, or we have it set aside. So if it's not used, we'll reimburse the town for it if we don't use it. But we expect to use it for the area coordinators as we go forward. We had about 8 months into 2020 before we were shut down by the health department. And we have a full lineup of performers. We're ready to go, but we just need the virus to go away, or at least come down to a level where we're able to have an event. And, we're just hoping that the herd immunity is reached before the time of the festival, and we may be looking at delaying the time, but that will be some logistical issues there too. But no, we haven't completely expensed that.
Okay, well, I thank you, and we appreciate all your hard work. Thank you. We keep our fingers crossed for making it go this year.
All for everyone this summer. We just hope we don't lose another summer. There's worse things that can happen, but it sure would be great for you if we could have people coming into town, not bringing the virus, but bringing the money.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, George. We appreciate your time. Anybody else? No? No? Commissioner Anderson, welcome.
Have you heard any forecast or anything about the possibility from performers, what any of them are looking at for travel, or is everything still up in the air?
Well, this is encouraging in itself. This is one of the first in-person meetings I've been to in a long time. But we're starting to get inquiries from performers who are starting to book events that they're going to be performing in. We had a commitment, which wasn't hard, from performers. When we had to shut it down, we said, would you like for us to include you in the lineup the following year, this year? And they all, two performers, they all said yes, we would. And none of them have been able to perform in the venue since then. But they are starting, smaller ones especially, are starting to make plans. But at the same time, there's other things like Glastonbury, which is in England, which is in June. They just decided not to have it this summer, so it's still kind of up and down.
And follow up to that, you said the possibility of postponement. What would a timeline for postponement look at? When would be
we are going to watch things
to push it back? Sorry.
We're going to watch things very carefully. Each day there's a change. Today the case numbers were very encouraging, but it still wouldn't be okay. But we're just going to watch it every day, see what happens, and see what's going on nationally as well as regionally, locally. Because a lot of it depends on the health department. If they don't allow, if they're not willing to allow the event, this away. But we're watching it very carefully. If it looks like there'll be vaccinations will proceed the way they should, then we could be looking at later in the summer for a live event.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Again, it's kind of refreshing to go to a live people.
Only small ones.
I hate to.
Yeah.
It's been nice to see people face to face.
Thank you very much. All right, committee, so that concludes the presentations. I would ask the confidence level and award, making recommendations for awards tonight. If you're comfortable with that, if you are not, you'd like to take your notes and review. I guess I would just ask what's the pleasure of the committee. Commissioner O'Neill.
Madam Chair, I think we should distribute the money. I got mine ready.
Second.
Ready to rock, so let's dish her out. Can I get this to you or yeah. Save a stamp and I'm thinking, yes.
You never came for money? You don't have a proposal? We're coming for travel.
Have a good night, you guys. All right, so if we want to maybe just, take 5 minutes and, is everybody ready to make some recommendations?
Not quite.
Okay.
What kind of process would you like to do? Should we read off everybody's proposal, we take an average, and then once we get a certain amount, then we say, okay, we're going to have this back, we go back. Right?
Sure. We're all part of the decision making, so I think it's gonna just depend on us coming to a consensus. It's really difficult to, have to not award everybody everything they asked for because everything was so wonderfully put together and, but the written proposals that we were provided with.
I think we should give
were really detailed.
them what they asked for, and we as the IT department to get it out.
Out of the IT budget.
Yeah.
I won't let them. All right, just reviewing my notes and things here. Is it awkward silence, we need some more music or something?
So, are you gonna log down the number?
Yeah, I can write it all down. So I guess my question to the committee is regarding the folk festival. It's integral to this town. It's very important to this town. I don't want to see us go another year without a folk festival. And I want to make sure that they have what they need if they are to put it on, especially in a delayed fashion. There may be additional expenses if and when air travel opens back up and supply and demand. So when we'll be getting some of the artists here might be difficult. But I also have, some questions. The original is Butte-Silver property.
Yeah, thank you.
And I guess I'd like to know a little bit more about what's in our own budget for maintenance there before we grant money to a third party to carry out maintenance on property that wants to pass. Not that I don't think it's a great idea. If it needs it, it needs it. There's no doubt in my mind that it needs it.
What's that, the level?
No, that's for the original.
Oh, okay.
In the Civic Center, bleachers as well, there may be some money in the budget already for certain things.
Well, I know the Civic Center has a purpose. Some state parks. So I guess we're probably gonna talk a little and see. With purpose.
One thing to take note too is we can't, in regard to like spreading this money out, it's, also look at it as I hate to say what you get is what you get, I don't mean it that way, but it's trying to help everybody. You also look at the one that Main Street does have a lot of money. I don't mean a lot of money, but they always come up with money versus other ones that may or may not. I don't even know where we're going with that, but I would hate to pass I think the quicker we get the money to it versus, it's not our responsibility giving this money out to worry about, civic center stages. That's really not our. It's a great idea, exciting. I have that same concern on the stage too. Is there my money? Take care of the original. It's a lot of money came, my money, our bill funds and stuff like that. That. We do it. What I mean? There's gotta be money elsewhere to maintain. There's gotta be money in the states somewhere, right? They're not relying on Main Street.
That's
Main
the
Street.
$68,000 question.
No, I know, that's what I'm saying, so the civic center, if they're borrowing our stage, that's their duty, fix the stage, fix the stage, that let them use.
They're paying a rental fee to the civic center, the stage, the civic center. Are providing or falling to pieces and they need to get them from someplace else and the civic center should use their budgetary authority to replace those stages.
Well, the civic center has replaced, just recently, replaced the stage.
And so the fact that they're offering, they want money to fix stages that they don't, you know, it's one of those things we need to look at, where what they're wanting the money to do is a feasible project. And is it a worthwhile project with what we have? One of the proposals had $20,000 for brochures and posters, you know. That's an awful lot of brochures and an awful lot of posters that I can't justify spending that much money on. You know, $1,000 on posters and brochures, sure, why not? 20,000, no.
Well, and so Main Street and the window parts, of Main Street, that's one of the new ordinances we use to keep your windows. If you have a broken window, the mill levy money shouldn't be fixing your broken window. That's
Well,
should it be?
I can comment.
No,
What
that's a
happens
question.
there is, when we're having our festivals, we'll be rowdy. And we rent it. So they feel their festival is partly responsible because windows are so expensive. These businesses generally don't have a window. So they've been doing that for years, trying to help them. And if they didn't have the festival, it's part of them. They're basically in their trouble.
Well, and I think it really does improve the aesthetic of town and, you know, like Mr. Everett said, he wants to get town more business ready, clean and safe, and I think that plays to that.
I don't think they spend any money on that.
Right.
These are the active up and running businesses, vandalism.
And those windows are, you know, they're $10,000 a piece, but with $1,000 deductible.
Well, some businesses, they're internal.
Hey,
Well, and he said it doesn't even need to be that.
I agree 100%. This is economic development money, and if you have a building, your window gets broken, you need to fix your window. I'm not trying to be rude, I know, but I just don't think this money, I don't see it as economic development, as fixing your window. You can't afford I know, it's the banker talking.
Well,
I know
I think
my
they're,
window gets broken down at the bank, we're not, you know, I mean.
well, they're taking responsibility of their event that's going on in the data. So they feel.
I guess I just, I see that point.
That's basically the ones that we're at.
Sure. Yeah, I'm not trying to be, you know, I'm just trying to be.
The other part of that though is also would be they do an awful lot of work to clean up areas around town. Graffiti on stop signs on other buildings and stuff. Also buildings at the canyon, so they do a really good job with that. The graffiti program that's tied into the window program. Yeah, it's kind of a 2-for-1, and I'm happy to spend money on that. The charity event, you know, when somebody wants to donate, buy somebody the tank and gas. Very nice, very heartwarming story, 5,000 economic development. No. So that's one we can cut out right away, whereas the graffiti, I think windows is something that does kind of help spur economic development, keeps the area clean, keeps it clean, it helps some of the business owners out. You know, we're not gonna do that because it's hard, you know, business owners can do that, they can do their own advertising, but, you know, times are tough for a lot of these businesses, and so some of these programs are kind of nice, some of them are. But
Very true. I mean, I'm definitely positive on all of them too.
I wonder if he's still around, if he could answer something about, you know, the original, the work that needed to be done, the original was, I mean, the funding part please give us a little information on. If the park and rec don't have it, then we can help. I know that if things are falling down on the musicians, we're not gonna be using the radio line. You know, so maybe it's a necessity, the park and rec.
I think we missed our opportunity to question.
Well, I just think too, you gotta, when you're looking at giving out this money, I don't think it'd be fair to the other applicants to take, you know, if we knew the answer to the questions, we're gonna take away more money from someone else to go with that. Again, these are just questions, I mean,
Well, a lot of
even
these
out
just
of
kind of,
technologies, like, you know, they're, you know, they want 25,000. I mean, that's what they're doing is great. It's definitely supporter. It's an awesome thing. They're making a lot of headway. I don't know. One of the things we could do is take the percentage of a percentage of the 68,500 for how many we have in here, and in the world design using mine is a pretty easy one. And we'll get all three. I mean,
well, one of the things we need to decide on too is we want to fund every one of these programs. Or there's some of them that we can get rid of. I think there's a few that we can get rid of without too much worry. I think there's some that we can slash a good 70–80% without hurting my feelings at all. There's some that are very good, were high dollar ones. Of the technology, you know, that has an opportunity to be real business, opportunity that where the community could see great amount of growth through some of these things that are really long term, that are going to benefit every single one of these other ones down the line. And you know, it's kind of a gamble, it's kind of a lower bust thing there. So
If it happens.
and they're making tremendous headway.
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
So, and we look at that, you know, is a garage for a fire truck? It's a nice idea, but how is that gonna help economic development in the community? Mother Later, they definitely need some work done. It is a county-owned building, you know, I can see other avenues that would be better for them to acquire that money. The festivals, honestly, they both received a fair amount of money last year. And honestly, I do not see any way, shape, or form where either of these festivals are gonna go on this year. I don't see that happening. The graffiti project, I think, is nice. The forestry board that pre-gates, I think, is a really nice proposal. I like the idea of fixing up some of the Cabbage Patch neighborhood, but again, he has $20,000 for posters and stuff, you know, there's $20,000 cut out of his budget without even thinking twice about it for myself. Charity.
Kevin will have all our money left over.
Yeah.
You're making it way easy for us.
You know, the Main Street for their charity, when I mentioned Comic Copper Star, really sweet story, you know, the lady got a tank of gas, and, you know, great, good for her, and after she got gas, got some groceries. I'm glad the kids get a few nice presents at Christmas time, but I know the Marine Corps does that. I know a lot of other organizations that do that same thing, so, you know, it's a no-go for me. I'm sorry, but I'll play Scrooge at Christmas time, I suppose.
Christmas is over.
What's that? I'll slash everybody's budget. The mule tours, you know, I like the idea, and it's gonna help out some. But do we need to spend that much on it, you know? He's done some great work in the past, I really like the idea. but do we need to fund it? So
Those
I'd like
stores
to
will
be
be a
able
big
to-
hit. They will be a big hit.
Yeah, and one thing I really
I
liked
think
about
we will too.
all of those, the mule tours, the, World Museum of Mining, the Let's Recover Butte project, like, I feel like those three build on each other, and, they build on one another. I mean, that's Butte's lifeblood is tourism in the summer, and, that rising tide will float all boats. So, it kind of emanates from the folk festival, which is so, up in the air right now, just due to COVID.
That's the hard part.
Same with
Do you deny them?
the Omni
And
Rock.
then they have it, and they give the money.
So
Give them the money and then they delete the money. It's just $1 million question.
I agree. I'm not a fan of giving them something to keep their budgets going, and hopefully, I mean, one of the things people come to Butte all the time, they do come for our festivals. I don't know, we've had it for so long, and they've really built a wall. I just feel like it's very not an economic booster. If anything, it's something we have. It's one thing we have. We have a great time. Yeah, so I'm supportive of dividends. You know, they wanted $3,000. The Irish Fest has been someone who gets kicked. I swear, you know, they're always, it's raining, it's a hailstorm, the stage falls down. The luck of the Irish.
The bad luck of the Irish.
The good part of him is if it's gonna happen, it's not. You know, if it won't be used.
Exactly.
I don't think they.
And we did that last year, and they got the money left over from last year, it sounds like, so that's nice, so,
And they don't ask for it on all.
no, they do not. And they got 3,900 last year, so they got that in the bank ready to go for them, so I'd be happy to slash theirs a little bit also.
Should we go up?
I'm gonna give you my numbers, right? I'm gonna give you my proposal. I don't know if this is appropriate. I have the Butte Mule Tours at 4,000.
Give me 1 second, Josh, and I'll put these.
Sorry, I throw these spaghetti.
Spitball.
You're gonna make it easiest for us to make them out. Between you
and
Bill,
I'm not in them. I thought I was neat until Bill started slashing.
Hell, if I can make you look good, I
All right, go ahead, Michelle.
All right.
So I put people in the mule tour 4,000. World Mining Museum as 1,445. The Irish Fest 3,000. The trees 3,000. But note to self, I already 15 businesses that I'm gonna hound. My goal in life is to get the tree great. You can call your dad and
I was just gonna say, I'll talk to my dad tomorrow. Really cute, but
I think that's an easy one. They're gonna have to, again, I'm sorry, there's special.
So
You love it.
I thought they were really
I'm
cool.
not-
Your promise is 15 more days of a lot, work hard.
They're gonna be 100 tree grates.
Right, some trees.
Let's Recover Butte Project 7,500. The Motherlode 10,000. The Spirit of the Columbia Gardens 10,000. I like fire trucks, so that's fine. BLDC 7,005. Maybe my calculations are off. Higher ceramics, which I'm still questioning, is 3,100. Alpha Technologies 7,900. So the Main Street Uptown projects, 2,500, 9,000, and 2,000.
So 2,500 for the graffiti.
2,500 for the graffiti.
Mitigation, and then how much for the festival?
9,000.
And then what'd you say for the last one?
And then 2,000. So maybe I'm off.
You're off.
Am I off on the World Museum? Then maybe I meant to give them 25 instead of 14. I don't
They
know.
only requested 14.
I don't know if it's appropriate to give them everything for their project, but
Not inappropriate.
call me crazy, but they're doing a great job and making headway. I still off.
We'll just go ahead and take them all, and then we'll average, and then we'll go back and say, well, we gotta turn this much off. And then we'll, discuss whether we should go from, who we should. How's that sound?
Yeah, but I'm not, yeah, I mean, there's a start anyway.
Well, I can save you 500 right off the top. The monies cannot be used for some items. And, salaries are one of them. And so that would knock off 500 right off the top of the mining museum. So
The fives, was it the 575?
I think it was one of their line items, I believe.
Well, I think that's one of the problems, though, some of them,
That would be a contract service also, Mike.
But that was their income, so,
Yeah,
well, not only that, some of them broke it down, some of them didn't, so how do you?
yeah. So the
Well,
mining
even
museum is requesting $450 for the.
well, see, that's where we need to go with the scoring option too. Is that the ones who did a good job of breaking everything down, their proposals are better proposals. And if we're gonna judge them on the quality of those proposals, the
Mining museum is 52 pages.
component, what's that? Yeah,
So would it be, would the committee entertain holding this in abeyance? Taking your individual thoughts and opinions and maybe sleeping on it? And we can reconvene and have another meeting to pick the awards, or,
Well, there's a lot of work in it,
yeah, there
these
is.
guys just spent a whole night here
Yeah.
already.
Callahan, do you want to review your?
I sure will. I know I'm over, but we'll start there and
I think
start
we're all over
talking.
a little bit.
Put it this way, I'll read mine and I'll have Bill shop.
Okay. Bill the shopper.
Okay, let's go to the new one towards
Okay.
8,000.
How many?
8,000.
Okay.
World Museum of Mining, 1445. Gaelic Society, $3,000. Uptown Grades, 4,000. Rediscover Butte, 8. Mother Road, 10. Spirit of Common Gardens, 10. The LDC, 7,500. IR Ceramics, 1,500. Alpha Technology, 1,200.
12,000?
12,000, I'm sorry.
I knew that's what you
That was
meant.
Me too, I was.
I knew that's what you meant.
Main Street, Uptown View, 2,500.
For the graffiti abatement?
Oh, 5,000 for the graffiti.
Okay.
And the next one, 25,000
For the charity or the festival?
for charity. And the festival was for 12,000. We gave 11 last year.
And so your totals are coming up to 84,000.
can I, comment and interject, something? Can we go through this list by list and have a yes or no vote on whether or not we want? Are we all in agreement that some of these things don't need to be funded?
Well, I think once we get them all average, then we can go back and pull from whoever we think we need to pull
Well, let's take our bottom three. What's the one we don't want to fund the most? And start to eliminate funding for some of these. Because we're up in the 80,000s, we're 20,000 off right off the bat. So if we can get rid of a couple of these, it will help us in this process, I feel.
I have none that I want to totally get
Yeah.
rid of in my mind, but
Oh, really?
I'll read what I have, my knee-jerk thoughts. Museum tour, 6,000. Museum of Mining, 1,300. Montana Gaelic Cultural Society, 1,000. Urban Forestry Board, 4,200. Let's Recover View, 4,000. Mother Lode Theater, 10,000. Spirit of Columbia Gardens, 8,000. The LDC, 7,500. High Ore Ceramics, 1,500. Alpha Technology, 13,000. Main Street Graffiti Program, 5,500, and Main Street Festival, 9,000. I'm coming in at 71,500. Oh, and the charity, Main Street Uptown Charity, 500. I didn't say that. I just feel like that one is something that needs, I don't know that it actually really fits the mold of the economic development that we're looking for, that economic activity certainly would create a small amount of economic activity around Christmas time, it would do some good for some people. So I'm really reluctant to leave it at 0. I think that.
Well, I think what we did last year
Some
was,
seed money.
we took an average of everybody, and then we went down item by item and said, okay, we gotta trim this much from where? What do you think we could trim? A few thousand here, or 500 here, 500 there, and that's how we got the last year.
I think I'm the closest person yet.
You're a hero.
What you got, Anderson?
You've been around for 16 years. You know.
This is one good, Butte Milters, 5,000, World Museum of Mining, 1,000, Gaelic Society, 2,500, Urban Forestry Board, 5,000, Let's Recover Butte. Let me get back to that. I have it written down on my note because it doesn't add up on the list. Motherlode Theater, 10,000. The Spirit of Columbia Gardens, 5,000. BLDC, 10,000. Bioceramics, 2,500. Alpha Technologies, 10,000. Main Street Graffiti Project, 2,500. Book Festival, 5. Charity, 0.
So what was your uptown, what was your lesser covered views?
So you're short 4,000.
4,000.
Yeah, we didn't do the.
The Let's Recover Butte.
Let's Recover Butte.
4.
Going back to the tree thing, I seriously, I know I'm talking smack or talking a big game. I know we can get them things bought. I know the bank will buy one. We'll make Chunk buy one.
If Chunk buys one, I'm gonna be required to buy one.
And I just really think, I mean, the amount of money that businesses spend on, I mean, $300.
See, that's the thing with all of these things is that a majority of them are just, a lot of these to me just seems like a handout. It's like, let me give money so I can recycle money, you know?
Well, that's
The tree one though, it's like, you want to get the tree one,
It's
it's,
gotta
yeah, some of this money's gonna crash. I mean,
it's gotta circulate, yeah.
Oh, exactly, and a lot of it will.
but at least the tree one, you know, people are gonna donate to that and see what they're getting. I mean, I think that's a layup, I think.
I think the BLDC proposal is great because it is going to snowball.
Which one's that?
The BLDC,
Yes.
that money will.
Well, that's
snowball,
why
and it
I
will-
was
it will
encouraging
lead
to
businesses.
reach out to radio.
Yeah,
Because we're giving Lee Enterprises a bunch of money, but we're not
Well, we
giving
aren't.
locally owned stations.
they're matching.
Well, they're matching, but I'm sure Mon Davis City might.
Oh, of course, and it may be a question that, Mr. Ballard didn't have enough time to reach out to all of these entities, because I know that he said there were some other that were still, kind of longer on it.
I think the newspaper reached out.
But I think it's great to meet the businesses where they're at, where they're hurting, they may have changed up their menus or their processes for takeout, and they don't have the resources to advertise that. You know, it's nice, I know that I haven't eaten in a restaurant for months, and if I know that a restaurant has, great takeout options or, COVID compliant indoor seating, I'd be more likely to go there if that's advertised to me. Spend some money there.
But where do you see them?
That's right, they should advertise that, yeah. But I'm doing my part with takeout, trust me.
I would agree with you 100% there, but I'm also thinking you're gonna get more bang for your And so the fact that he reached out to the standard or vice versa and said, hey, we'll match this, you know. I'm sure talking to some of the radio stations, you know, I know that they match it also.
Yeah, and it may be that a certain business that applies for a mini micro grant from the LBC already has an advertising relationship with one or more of the other advertising meetings.
Exactly.
So
what's your argument?
Well, my argument is if you're head of the development corporation, you should reach out to more local groups than just big multinational corporation like the enterprises.
Patty, do you have some, maybe Commissioner Thatcher? Sorry.
Okay, so I have 6,000 for Beetle tours, 1,200 for moving and mining, 3,000 for Butte Society, 3,000 for urban forestry, 6,000 for revenue, 9,200 for the mother level, 9,000 for Colgate Gardens, 6,300 for BLDC, 1,800 for Higher Ceramics, 10,000 to Alpha Tech, 2,000 for the graffiti, 10,000 for the folk festival, and 1,000 for the charity. I think that should be right. Or right as the equal to 60, not right as in, listen here.
I might have typoed something, 62,500. So we're gonna read it back to 6,000, okay, 1,200, 3,000, 3,000, 6,000, 9,200, 9,000, 6,300, 1,800, 10,000, 2,000, 10,000, 1,000. Yeah, that's.
So will that program average them all out? We'll go from there.
Is your formula right? I'm making that.
I think it is.
You have it all put in your software over there.
Yeah.
What do you have for averages, Michelle?
Give me 1 second, I need to get it.
If you get it, get a print, I'll get everybody a copy. And then we'll just kind of start chopping.
No, I've got you adding up to 62,500.
So we'll just add it. Well, she'll come in the middle.
Can we get a score, rank every one of these from 1 to 13 for everybody? The score on where you put them in order. And then we can use that and we can start with the highest rated per person. And then we can kind of keep those at a higher amount, kind of whittle those other ones down a little bit.
Well, I think we're almost there right now. If we average them out, we'll see how much we're over. And then we'll just turn around and say we need to pull out 20,000. We'll just pull out from where we think. That make sense? That's what we did last year.
Well, I'm very interested in what you guys did last year because I was not part of this committee last year. And suddenly I'm the chair of this committee. So I appreciate.
I think Bill should have been the chair, but you know what? Economic development meeting comes at 6 o'clock.
I appreciate the input of those of you who have been on this.
I put myself on this exactly for the reason to help Michelle, because I know that she'd be an awesome person for that.
Thank you.
Doesn't matter if you're wrong.
Yeah, you were the committee that picked those.
I was.
I think I was over 30, almost $31,000.
I picked Michelle to be on it because I wanted her to be chairman. I picked Josh to be on it because of
You wanted to be
because of his banking knowledge, and I thought that would be a very good asset. I wanted Patty to be on it because of her business acumen. I figured that she'd probably help her father immensely in the liquor business. I picked Fortune for the same reason. Myself, because I had experience running it, and you, because I like hanging out with you.
Thanks for the question.
You're welcome. Well, you were also on it the last 2 years also, so I figured you'd have experience of what went on the last 2 years that we did not.
I've been on it the last 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
You were on it with me and with.
all right, you ready for the averages?
Just print us a copy and I'll get everything.
Oh, can you put what they asked for on that too?
It's on there.
Okay.
Kathy, did you bring your pillow? How
I
could,
got called out at 3 AM on Saturday night for the police.
are you kidding?
What happened? Did their system go down?
Well, there was a backup going on that shouldn't have gone on. It happened during this meeting too. So
Oh,
it
geez.
took down our video feed during this meeting, but part of it, we only have voice feed.
Well, that's better than nothing.
Yeah, so I have to run down and fix that. So there was, yeah, it shouldn't happen again. At least I found it tonight before 3 AM.
Yes, you were here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just so we can see all the things.
Yeah. There is one viewer.
Oh, is there?
Yep.
Do we know who it is?
One viewer, it's probably Dan Olson.
It probably is.
There's our-
Okay.
There's our averages.
Sure. Oh, so we're not too far out. Oh,
So we got $4,100.
But, I mean,
To trim?
you only.
I agree.
You only.
I think,
does that mean that those of us who gave, am I the only person under?
Well, Patty does excellent. This is your profession.
I have one of these wrong though, that I said I did
You
that.
can't take everyone. Okay, does everybody have their worksheet?
that makes it a whole lot easier. We got $3,100.
No, we have 3,000.
3,000
We
even?
have 3,178 to get rid of.
That's pretty simple.
I see where
No, you're right. You're at 68.5. You're right on the nose.
Yeah, and that's what it should be. So,
The one that I'm disappointed in is, actually, I don't know if I'm disappointed or happy that Josh was wrong on his map. I don't know if that's a good thing for the bank or he's giving us more money or if it's bad.
It's definitely bad.
if you have.
I'm thinking if I want to open an account, if I give $50, maybe we can put it $60.
So I own Alexa and I just have Alexa app, but I never think that's, I have to punch the numbers in and it's really stressful.
So you're gonna plan your.
I liked your idea of picking our number one, like, you know, it would be definitely my number one for long-term viability and potential is alpha technology. I think that it has the greatest long-term impact potential.
We're giving them 10,580. So we want to add to that, you want?
Well, I mean, listening to Jessica speak, she said they would be happy if they could fund one study. And that the $25,000 that they requested would actually fund 3. So, I would want to be able to fund one full study rather than one and a partial, even though I'm sure they could arrange financing to get, you know, the other one up and running, but, I guess how does everybody feel about, you know, basically breaking that down into thirds and funding that at 1/3, or increasing it and funding it at 2/3, because I just don't think we have the resources, we don't have the resources to fund it 100%.
No. I agree with, making sure we fund it as well, provide it. I think that's,
Well, I don't know what.
But if you do that, then you're gonna have extra, which you're gonna add to somebody else.
sorry.
Is that what you wanna do?
Well, it's at the pleasure of the committee.
So are you considering 83 for
You
just
can
a
do,
small portion?
you can do 85.
I would leave that one alone. I think it's one of our top priorities, so
Yeah, I agree. I don't
I
disagree, I'm
would
just,
leave it alone.
I would at least recommend to cut the $80 out. Make it even.
Well, let's start cutting at some of the lower ones first, though. Would everybody be all right with cutting 200 away from, line 13, the charity, Brooktown View?
yeah, I'm definitely okay with that, because I only recommended that.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
You know, we can, or what would be, it was averaged at 1,200.
Yeah,
I think the high was 2,500. Yeah, you're pretty nice. And, I think the low is 0. And so,
I was almost looking forward to an in-person meeting.
you're almost looking what?
Look forward to an in-person meeting. I'm just teasing. Nobody I'd rather argue with than you guys.
Actually, if we gave that, took that 200 away, we could add it to the World Museum of Mining and bring them to full amount.
Second.
That doesn't get us any closer to, oh,
Just
That
put
gives us, that gives us like $32 total.
so, so, tell me that again, Bill.
Cutting line item 13, minus 200, and
For which organization again, I'm sorry?
the World Museum of Mining,
So,
bring them to the 1445,
so bring them to their full ask.
the full ask.
But that ain't helping us cut.
No, now take away 840 for forest people.
I would say take away 740 at the most. That gives them half their money.
How,
So we gave them 2,900 last year.
so if they wanted to do 26 grades, they can do 13 grades roughly for that.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, I'm joking. I'm gonna get 10. I'm gonna get at least 10 grades, so. I already got 3 sold now. You think Chuck's gonna buy one?
I don't know, I don't know.
I mean,
I'm
seriously,
serious.
I bet my Thatch will buy one.
I thought that was my second call.
I can sell 10 grades. I guarantee I get it out. If the thing doesn't buy one, I'm gonna buy it. Yeah, well, thank you.
I wish.
You want to go in with your dad and we'll buy one together?
See, there you go, you guys can buy it. We're gonna go like hotcakes.
You know what, these
As
would
long as
be.
you're donating to that cause, I want you to donate to all people. Help us get there.
Now, hear me out, Josh, what do you think of this idea? We put a little tiny plaque that we'll have them weld on, that break rate in memory of X. You can sell that for $500 right there, you pay for every one.
Yeah, but that ain't helping us trim. Let's keep on the trimming side.
Well, no, I'm just trying to.
Well, that's what I mean,
Right
I'm not trying to take money from that.
Right now, we're,
I think we did 3 and we go.
right now, we're over marketing, 2,400.
So we got 2,400.
But it's very difficult to set the project.
Right, but what
How much
else?
do we need
I
to
would
get
take
rid
it out
of?
of Alpha then, because Alpha can still go.
Well, let's take away 500.
Yeah,
Let's
not-
make
not-
every one of these an even dollar amount. We're gonna be almost there.
Yeah, you put them at 580.
for
You
five.
take all the odds, we don't even
So
have.
the World Museum of Mining said that she was very gracious.
So even if you gave her 1,400.
If you gave her what
She
we're at.
said that
well,
she said she could cut part of the printing budget for 5,000 copies of flyers.
Can't she?
She did say that, I wrote that down.
Even the photography.
Well, a good photographer is expensive. And honestly, what is down here is very reasonable, and I'm just not that far removed from having seen the things. So I can just tell you that, you know, the proposal is very fair. I think every single, local entity that provided a bid for her was right on the mark. Yeah, I think they were all very,
Well, it's a charity, it's a nonprofit. The ones that don't give them, take the proposal.
so I mean, I would recommend maybe just, pulling a little bit out of that printing budget that was submitted. You know, maybe pulling 200 out of it.
That we just put in.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
So what do you
just
want
because, just to decrease their, recommendation from 1445 to 1245, just because she said that they could withstand that and they could absorb.
Let's just make it an even 12.
Yeah, just,
Make the charitable one an even 1,000. There's 400 right there, right?
And we're still at 70,660.
I would cut out the mule tours.
Let's leave,
Take 5,800 or 580 out of.
why not break them down to
They're up to
500
10,000.
units?
So let's go back to the recovered view proposal.
Maybe the mule tours. I mean, look at this, the $3,000 on the website, 6,500. On advertising? No way.
How much does he have for advertising?
$3,000 for the website, which is probably legit.
I think that's,
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
on mule tours.
yeah, easy.
But then, 6,500, 1,500, for advertising on pamphlets.
Well, we've already cut them in half.
So I struggle with,
But here, I'm not being rude here, truthfully, it's one Kawasaki mule taking these tours around, one 6-seater taking 5 people at a time.
It's gonna be a big hit. Those are things that, aren't in any of our doors.
and he
I
did,
think that's gonna be
I
more
know Lindsay will
valuable than a lot of these.
and he did say that he's going to need to add an employee, maybe more than one, maybe a full-time and part-time
We're gonna have to have that.
to man that and the hotel. And I think that's kind of what it's all about, is are we putting people to work?
Yeah.
Are we getting a return on the investment? I mean, even small growth.
Well, his projects are ready, the motel and the speakeasy, I mean, they're big hits. He does this.
Oh, he does a great job.
should the BODC drop so it's an even amount, so that you can have grants funded? About 200 or?
Exactly. Well, where is the?
7,500.
Yeah. That'd be 15.
If we knocked every one of these to the nearest 500, I think we'd get us there really fast.
Easily.
So we just have to vote up or down on some of these and see where we're at.
So let me just ask everybody what they're thinking about the, Let's Recover Butte project. There's a lot of building infrastructure there. And then $1,000 in advertising and $20,000 for poster, brochure, and computer.
Yes.
I struggle with the lumping of $20,000 into,
That 20,000 has to go away right off the top.
right. And so then what else is really,
Well, 40,000 total.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is that posters and brochure and computer time, none of this really requires computer time. It looks like a lot of hard work to be done. And then it looks like we just kind of doubled it, you know? I don't repair, replace roofs on all 6 buildings for 1,000. It's like, I don't know who's gonna have to do the work, but you're not gonna fix very many roofs for $4,000.
So you're saying add more? Or you
Well,
want more money?
I'm saying that he just pulled numbers out of thin air. You know, if we would have paid $10,000 for roofs, I would have understood it.
Well, there's a different, now wait a minute. We gotta understand, they're not putting new modern roofs on, they're putting corrugated tin. That's what those buildings were.
Well, I know, but I'm saying, if you put a new roof or some new tin and keep it original, you're still gonna be over $4,000.
So just little teeny buildings.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying I don't think I don't know, maybe.
all right.
Let's round all these
What's
off.
our recommendation?
I think we can do this.
I did that.
Wonderful. And then you're gonna get within a few dollars and then we'll move up on there.
What did you do? Around 500?
You're right on, whoever we got an animal. That's why you're the chair. She asked the machine to figure it out.
Did-
That's what we
And,
need.
kind of what you talked about with looking at the averages, kind of doing some rounding, understanding that they all are very worthy causes. And there isn't a single one of them that we would love to fund 100%. But my recommendations, well, of course, Mr. Anderson, yes, duly noted. My recommendations would be, hold on, I can't talk, I have a pen in my hand. Mule Tours 5,800, Building Museum of Mining 1,200, Montana Gaelic Cultural Society 2,000, Friends of the Urban Forestry Board 3,100, Let's Recover Butte 5,900. Right. Motherlode Theater 9,000, Spirit of Columbia Gardens 8,000, the LDC 7,500, Iowa Ceramics 2,000, Alpha Technologies 10,500, Main Street Uptown Graffiti Project 3,500, Main Street Uptown Festival Project 9,000, and Main Street Uptown Charity 1,000.
You're our hero.
Grand total of 68,000.
You are our hero. You guys agree?
Does anybody have any other suggestions, Mr. Anderson?
Why did you do that?
Well,
Well,
because it's so
figures me.
polite.
He's very polite. True.
No, I disagree with quite a few of the numbers, as you can see my thing, but I think some of the money could be spent better off, but that being said, the only one I have any real reservation for is the Main Street Copper Bell Fund. You know, it's just not economic development. I would rather put that $1,000 in any line item. I'd rather see it in any other line item. That being said, I'm fine with everything else.
Who wants to split the difference with Bill?
We're not gonna change. I don't wanna split it, cause I can use economic development, in a roundabout way. That money's, given the unfortunate circumstances and spent locally, whether it is gas, candy, or Christmas presents, I think it's we have a lot of people in our town that are in bad situations, so I would even, at that point, you know, I'm not gonna argue if it is or it isn't, I think it's awesome. But the $100 difference for urban forestry, I feel should go to the Let's Make It New project to round it up to 6,000. And I laughed, it's only $100, but I'm getting tree grades that the forest guys won't do that. You can all tell me if you want to.
I will, are you making that in the form of a motion? If so, I'll second
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion
Can we move on?
so let's recover views, the up to the even 6,000 to let's recover views.
it. Charlie will be very mad at me, but I'll go along with it.
Charlie's not pretty mad because I'm telling you, I'm gonna.
So can you just indulge me for 1 minute and can you explain your logic?
My logic is because it's gonna be easy to get the tree grades 300 apiece. I'm gonna.
He's
It
funding.
doesn't have to be correct, right? I mean, I'm just saying that.
That's a solid logic.
That's paying for Tim.
No, the thing is, Josh, I'm holding you responsible for this other tree guys.
That's fine.
I don't care about all other 12, but I want at least 3 of them.
3?
Okay,
I already got
so when everybody revised their list to 3,000 for the portion board. And
Do we have a motion in a second?
I will make a motion.
we're just talking through it right now. Does anybody have any strong feelings against doing that?
We're fine.
Okay.
Or just,
Yes.
you can have straw. I mean, that's fine.
We're just giving it a question.
Coming at you.
I'm a Scrooge.
Kathy's sitting over there. Shut the hell up.
So our speaking point is the, cherry.
No, we're fine with
You're
it.
good with it?
If it's what the body wants to do, then, you know,
That's what I was just gonna say, we could vote the Democratic way.
I would make a motion to eliminate it altogether. If that
And that
was-
dies for lack of a second. But thank you for stating your piece.
My 4 years of council, that's the first time you've done something like
I've never seen that happen before.
Well, I think we have some really good recommendations.
I do too.
I think that,
No matter what you do, it's hard to.
it's hard.
It's
Like
hard.
I said, these are all super worthy projects. There isn't a bad one among them. I think they all do, they're very diverse too, which is the other thing that I like is, I really love the idea of high horse awareness and reaching out to people who are shut in and, once I heard more about that project, I got even more excited about it. So,
Which one's that?
the high horse ceramics.
I went into it not really liking it too much, and I kind of came out.
And I'll tell you
That's
that.
why those proposals are so much better.
And I'll tell you that the world is changing where, you know, everyone would be like, well, we can't wait to, we'll be doing these classes in person, but it was really important for me to hear her say, we're going to use the hybrid model, because there are some people who can't get out of the house for one reason or another, or don't want to get out of the house for one reason. So I think there's a lot of forward thinking there. Okay, so let's, I'm gonna read final recommendations, and then I will entertain a motion. Final recommendations, mule tours. Keep on saying mule tours. 5,800. World Museum of Mining, 1,200. Montana Gaelic Cultural Society, 2,000. Friends of the Urban Forestry Board, 3,000. Let's Recover Butte Project, 6,000. Mother Lode Theater, 9,000. Spirit of Columbia Gardens, 8,000. The LDC, 7,500. High Ore Ceramics, 2,000. Alpha Technology, 10,500. Main Street Uptown Graffiti Project, 3,500, Main Street Uptown Festival, 9,000, and Main Street Uptown Charity Project, 1,000. For a total of 68,500.
You rock.
I would make the motion that we draft a letter to the council as a whole and submit those amounts as our findings for this year's mill levy budget and have it be approved by council overall.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor? Aye.
Hey, you're so welcome.
Motion to adjourn.
I tell you to put it in the
Opposed?
You want to post to adjourn?
No, if you want to post the motion to refer to the full council.
Oh,
Now, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell.